these race riots. And I think when the people find out that the Jews are behind it and have financed it, I think the people are going to understand why the Jews don't like me.
How are you going to expose it? What specifically?
I want the world to go to war, sir. I don't want the world to go to war. I want to stop the riots. I want to stop the exploitation of black people by the Jews for the purpose of destroying the American Constitutional Republic.
Come on, man.
The fact of the matter is that every congressman that signs the AIPAC pledge to place Israel first is a traitor. They are in violation of their oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, domestic and foreign. The problem is the manner in which the Zionist state uses bribery, blackmail, and media manipulation to lie, cheat, and steal across every policy issue. We are giving the Zionists today $30,000 for every man, woman, and child in Israel, which they then turn around and use to genocide the Palestinians. Anti-Zionism is every American's duty. The second point that I would make is that the Zionists themselves are anti-Semitic. The Zionist state of Israel and the Zionists in Switzerland who refused to ransom the Jews from Germany when the price was $3 million for the safe, secure exit of all Jews from Germany.
Greetings.
So the 5 civilized tribes, the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Sioux, Seminole, and Creek, are the exact same people as the El Beideh, Al, and Ali. There's no differences.
I am totally convinced.
Tonight I'm coming on here to talk about, we're going to talk about this Declaration of Independence. How obviously we've never read it or even understand it. So, before I've done one on the Bill of Rights, tonight I want to talk about this Declaration of Independence. Are we still caught up in this? How long has this thing been out? Have we paid attention? Because so many people complain about not being free and not having this and not having that I don't think we're paying attention, and we've been fighting for the wrong thing on the wrong side at that, right? We with you, Islam. So we've been fighting for the wrong thing for all this time. Fighting for your civil rights, those are privileges. How about your human rights? Those are rights. So I'm going to be reading from a few things today because I titled this The Rebirth of Our Nation, because it is the rebirth of our nation. We're about to rebirth our nation, literally. But how will we do it? They've been left here long enough for us to know how to run the government. If we're paying attention, we could look even across the sea and look at, what's his name, Torre? Look at the way he's doing things and the way that he's setting things up. How he went and told the IMF, look, we need our money. The IMF is the International Money Fund. If you don't know what the International Money Fund is, it's all your judges get paid. So anytime a crime is done, this International Money Fund is how they get their kickbacks. Because it's just us being sold on it. So anytime a crime is done, they're able to open off of a certain amount of money, get money put in their pocket, and still operate. They're operating as businesses, as private businesses. The judges, the lawyers, the congressmen, all of them. You can look it up. They're not even paying their taxes on this stuff. So that's why Torre, when he went to meet with them and told them, look, now we coming to get what's owed to us. We ain't coming to ask to sit at the table with you. We ain't coming to do none of that. We coming to get what's owed to us. America don't never want to do the duty to do what they need to do to put them in the right position. We always want to look for someone else to do it for us. So I'm going to be reading not only from the Declaration of Independence, I'm going to come from the Exiles of Florida. I'm going to come out of the Civics Guide from the Moorish Science Temple, the Civics Guide, not the Moorish Guide, which is the newspaper, but the Civics Guide. So we're going to be reading a couple of things tonight. And what that will do is going to help us. Let me see, I don't think I can do that one from here. No, I don't think I can do it from here. But we're gonna kind of go into this, and I didn't get to do a holy day yesterday. It's been a lot going on with the family, so I still want to give my honors and definitely give my honors to all the divine prophets for all the wonderful works that they have brought into us for everything. So I want to get into this. So I'm going to start reading. Where do I want to start from first? First, I'm going to start out of this. I'm going to go back and forth into this because I want to come out of the Holy Koran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. It's the Holy Koran. The Holy Koran is this. It's a compilation. Let me see if I can get the thing. It's a compilation of all your doctrines. It's a compilation all in one place. It's just you have to unfold it and unfold the information. Because even though it doesn't seem like it's only 98 pages long, but it's bigger than any Bible, any encyclopedia, anything. Because once you learn the lessons, you have to unfold them, actually. They're not just, it's not an easy read. Just because you think you know what a word means, it's none of that. It's really a deep dive into who you are. So I'm going to come out of this today to start this conversation. And actually, this is how we'll do it, because I want to get into the lesson of this today. And so it will be quite a bit of reading. If you want to come up, you can. If not, it's all right, because it is a lot of reading going on today. And it's just to keep the people informed for those that want to be informed. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to change you or try to get you on this information. It's just information. How you take it is how you take it. What you do with it is what you do with it. Because nobody's waking nobody up no more. You either got it or you don't. It's all. So this is definitely not based on that. Let's see. We are going to. Is that it? Let's see if this is, because I want to say this has something to do with it. Yes, it does. Okay. So this is coming off of, as I said, the rebirth of our nation. Because there has been a rebirth of a nation, but what about the rebirth of our nation? Our nation here. What they would call today's America. If you want to go back from that and say a Mexum or Mesopotamia, you can give it its ancient names. So the rebirth of our nation is not a dream. It is a divine mandate. Join us as we uncover the true meaning of the resurrection of the Moorish American people, because we're truly being resurrected. And you have to understand where that comes from. It's not to take away from nothing indigenous here, but we have to understand that we claim the whole entire planet. And when we're looking at that from the aspect of what it is, it's not that, hey, love, we're looking at it from what it is. It's definitely, it's not taking anything away from us, because I am indigenous to this land. A lot of us are, you know what I'm saying? But when we're looking at what our history brings, this ties us all the way back to the beginning. That's what I love about it. Good afternoon, my love. I trust all is well. I hope I get to see you when I come home. I'll be coming home in a few days. So I hope I get to see you. As I was saying, it's just a lot that I'm not going to say we're unaware about it, but it's a lot of stuff that's just not being brought to the people. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for the love. Thank you for the hearts. I love you for that. Love you, love you. But it's stuff that's right in our face that we don't take the time to really look at it, dive into it, learn it. We just skim over it. And so skimming over it stops it from really being able to manifest it at all. You know what I'm saying? Manifest it at all. So I'm going to go into this chapter. So this episode reveals the symbolic power of the lion's paw, a strong grip of knowledge and law that lifts our nation from the civic and spiritual grave. We examine the foundational text of Noble Drew Ali from the Holy Koran of the Moorish American Civics Guide. That's what we're going to go into. We're going to go into this civics guide to show that the fight for freedom is a fight for identity. Okay? So we're going to look at the grave of names, how names like Negro, Black, and Colored represent a state of death to our true Moorish heritage. 2, the lion's grip of history, the historical precedent of the Exiles of Florida, who chose death upon the battlefield to chains and the scourge, the original lion's paw of resistance. Number 3, the strong grip of law, why civic education and the assertion of your free national name are the modern tools to secure your sovereign place in the government. The rebuilding of King Solomon's temple is the resurrection of the Moorish American as the true living temple of Allah on earth. Because you're the temple. The building's not the temple. You're the temple. Islam, 2, 3. 2, 3. I hope beats. All right, Islam. So we're the temple. You're the temple. So to rebuild that temple of Solomon is just that's your, we can say that's a representation, if you want to know. If you're not sure what that looks like, or they use these things esoterically so you can go in and see these things in front of you. Nobody believed Jesus of Nazareth, the spirit, so a person came. Nobody believes the prophets when they're speaking. When the spirit is speaking, nobody believes it until someone shows up. But then they also don't believe it then. You know what I'm saying? They also don't believe it then. So that lion's paw is important. The lions, these animals all have some meanings to who we are. They really do. So we are going to go over that today, and we're going to read from the Civics Guide. I don't know if anyone has heard of the Moorish Civics Guide before. But we are going to go into the Civics Guide so that I can read some things to you, and then I'm going to read some things in the Exiles of Florida. I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence so you can see how this all comes together. And I think we're tripping. We really are, because we're not exercising our proper right as people. We're not. We're trying to blame it somewhere, and it's only because we're not doing our part. And our part, if we did our part, it'd be over with. This would be done with. So we're holding on to these things that are doing us no good. Okay, so this episode is going to set the stage for the need for national rebirth by divining the state of death and the ultimate goal of resurrection. The problem with us, the spiritual and civic death of a people. That's what the problem is. The grave of names. So we're going to discuss the Negroes, the colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians. And these were names that were given to slaves by slaveholders. These are not nationalities, y'all, but labels of servitude, a civic and spiritual death sentence. We can reference that to the divine constitution in Acts 6. Okay? So the divine constitution in Acts 6 states, hold on one second. I'm not reading it verbatim and just saying anything. We don't want to just say anything. No, we didn't. And not to say that I can't say these things, but I've done them enough, but we want to go here. Okay, so the Moorish Science Temple of America is a divine constitution and bylaws. So this is what divine, when I do this thing, this is what the divine constitution and bylaws looks like. The prophet is in the middle. He sits in the middle because no one can get above him, below him, or through the middle. He's going to make sure it's protected. Islam. So in Acts 6, it says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Okay, this is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali was brought. He was brought like any other prophet, because when someone's just given the message or the spirit is moving, no one believes in the spirit. So a form has to come to tell you the message. A form has to show up to let you know what this is all about. So with that, when we look at that Act 6, this is how we're able to teach our people what this is to be that. So the fallen temple, we're going to introduce the concept that the Moorish American, stripped of their identity, is the King Solomon's temple that was destroyed. The temple lies in ruins, a people. So this temple is a people. It's not a building. This temple is a people. It lies in ruin, a people in economic and civil futility. We're going to reference the Moorish American Civics guide for that, all right? So I want to go into referencing this civics guide. I'm talking about the Exiles of Florida. We're going to read some of this civics guide, and we'll go back and forth. It'll be, we're going to have more than one build on this. So we are going to... Okay, we're going to go Exiles of Florida first. No, we said Civics Guide, the Moorish Civics Guide. Here we go. Okay. And I'm going to start from page. Let me take this down because I'm going to have to see this. The Moorish American Civics Guide. So the Civics Guide, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali has so many amazing things going on in the 1920s, when everyone was so-called poor. Everybody, it was man, we tripping. Yeah, we tripping. When everyone was so-called poor, okay? He still had like 6-7 businesses rocking. He had the Moorish Guide, which was a newspaper. He had, you might as well say, the first Uber Eats, the first Uber. He would deliver food. He picked people up to make sure they got to where they went to. I believe, was it a laundromat? He had teas and tonics. He had the temples. All of this going on in 1920s when everyone was it was a depression, so they say, right? But a depression for who? A depression for who, we need to start asking. Because when I get into this Declaration of Independence, oh my goodness, what are we doing? I think we're tripping. As my brother said, we're tripping. And not knowing who you are will cause this thing to be, okay? So, the purpose of this monograph is to emphasize the importance of instruction. And I'm going to tell you who this was. This civics guide, I got this back in 2014. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Because this is a divine and national movement, not just like, a here movement. It's a national movement. Prepared and compiled by Sheikh Way Il. So we give honors to Sheikh Way Il for this compiling of this information, but it's so very important. So the purpose of this monograph is to emphasize the importance of instruction in citizenship among the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The brief discussions of the several phases of the subject and the methods of teaching it are sufficient to give the member the modern social point of view and awaken an enthusiasm for the subject which is lacking among the disenfranchised Moors on this land, branded under the false color-coded labels of Negro, Black, Colored, and African American. The course of study civics given at the close of the treatise is intended as a guide to the teacher in the selection of life units for the instruction and training of the Moorish American Muslims, more specifically to our young boys and girls in active citizenship. The fundamental principle of cooperation in group life for the mutual welfare of all citizens is made prominent throughout the course. These simple lessons are to lead the teacher and student into broader lessons and applications as it pertains to American life. If you think about it, our people have never truly enjoyed the American life because they were operating off of privileges as opposed to God-given rights. As I said, them civil rights are your privileges. Those aren't God's given rights. They're just privileges that you could use. Well, you can't use them because they don't even really give you your privileges. Have never really enjoyed the American life because they were operating off of privileges as opposed to God-given rights, conferred to all citizens under the Constitution of a free national government for the first time in decades. Our people, the Moorish American Muslims, will be taught those things necessary so that they can become better citizens of this great nation. One can only attain power in this nation by sitting in seats where the powerful sit. In order to do this, one must properly be taught the civic side of American life. You got to be properly taught the civic side. If you've never been properly taught the civic side, then you think everything's against you. Islam of the American life. Something that has never been properly taught to all the people of Moorish descent in this nation. In these modern days, it is the mission of Moorish Science Temple of America to bring the civic understanding of American life from the Moorish American Muslim perspective, who is, in fact, a part and a partial of this government of the United States of America. The Civics Guide is designed to awaken you as how a government is run and how citizens of that government operate in turn to make it run. We Moabites or Moors are the founders of the world's first civilization that we have among the nations today. Our modifications, the very civility that was bred by the high types of our ancient societies. We pray Allah, this book finds you in good spirits and you apply the information therein for the betterment of yourself, your household, your family, your community, and your nation in general. Peace. That's what we're about to get started with. Islam. So what is civics? What is civics and citizenship? What is civics? Civics teaches people how to be good citizens because you need to learn how to be. No matter what no one's saying out here, learn to be good citizen over your stuff. That's what that means. That's not telling you to sign up for anything or to put yourself back in a situation. It doesn't. But do you even know what that even means to be a better citizen? That means to better care for your environment, for your community. That's what that really means. That doesn't mean what you're thinking it means. Like, dig deeper into what a citizen is, because I'm about to break down what citizenship is. So it deals with topics such as manners, obedience, duty, industry, protection of life, health, and property, the payment of taxes and rents, the work of the community, of officials, of the courts, of legislators, Congress, political parties, fraternal and patriotic organizations. This subject places emphasis upon relationships between individuals in a group and between groups of individuals in their efforts to deal with and to serve one another. In other words, civics is a subject that treats the cooperative relations of individuals and groups in their attempts to live and work together. It pertains to the life of children as well as to the life of adults. For these reasons, it is one of the most important subjects for a Moorish American Muslim to study. as it is, they, falsely and formally called by the slave epithets, Negro, black, and colored, who have fallen away from this form of civilized life due to never having a proper education and understanding what this life entails. Why civics should be taught. An examination of the courses of study in typical neighborhoods called ghettos throughout the country reveals the fact that not very much attention is given to this subject in a serious or systematic way, whether it be in the daily program of the schools, temples, churches, mosques, religious organizations, or other organizations in general. This is doubtless due to the fact that in past years, civics has been regarded as a formal textbook subject, dealing with the machinery of government and suited only to the upper echelon of American society and taught with their upper grammar grades and the high school as preparation for adult citizenship. Since the advent of the Moorish Science Temple of America and its recent resurgence, this viewpoint has changed. The organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is akin to this American civic temperament in its aims, methods, and subject matter. Prophet Noble Drew Ali realized that in order to infuse the disenfranchised Moors here who were branded with the slave labels of Negro, blacks, colored, and today's African American, that a greater effort had to be made through the temples to supply the members, and more specifically the children, with the ideas and activities that result in habits of conduct and habits of service, befitting a cooperative social, political, and industrial life. Children come to understand the more remote and more complex phases of life through an understanding of and an interest in the concrete activities of their daily human relationships. This puts civics, the subject that treats of these relationships, in the program of every aspect of the course of Islamism, and its study in its cooperative understanding of the divine and national autonomy of this movement. Before Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought this civic awareness to the masses of our people in the city of Chicago, the disconnect was wedged and the people were mistreated and scattered. And so the necessity for this civics training was not strongly felt. But now that people are waking and beginning to realize that the prophet is the source of light in America and is the acorn that grew the great oak tree that has many branches in the form of a variety of organization, the pressure for a harmonious and stimulating conception and control of human relationships is growing greater day by day. The ever-increasing difficulties of maintaining peaceful international relationships calls for a higher type of world citizenship and a new interpretation of patriotism. Love of humanity must transcend love of country in this new citizenship ideal. If the people of the world are to succeed in living together in unison, as advanced technology and increasing population is placing them. Prophet Noble Drew Ali emphasizes love because when one adheres to the principles of love first and foremost, then he or she will be the most productive member of society. On several occasions, we see where the prophet stated, the heads of all temples, grand sheiks, grand sheikahs, must conform to the divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They must live the life among the members and be loved even as the prophet is loved. They must live the life of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Adhere at all times to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Our divine and national movement stands for the specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. I love that because we stand on them principles. We move in love first. Everybody's talking about, well, ain't no peace, there's no justice. First of all, you got to move in love. You done skipped all them principles to want some justice. You done skipped all them principles to want some peace. When you haven't moved in love first, love, you haven't spoke the truth. Love, truth, peace comes before freedom. Freedom, then there's justice. Those are the things. Everybody wants justice when you don't even know what justice really even means. It starts with love and it ends with just us. That's the justice. When we can come together as just us. Justice ain't you taking something out on somebody. Justice is just us. And we're not up under all of these things we keep putting ourselves up under. Because when I go into this Declaration of Independence, there's no finger pointing. Only point at yourself for what you're doing to yourself, to your community, to your children, to your family. You're scared to be different. You're too scared to be the one that's speaking on it. The public school was once thought of as being a striking illustration of this new community life, as the school was supposed to be the center of all phases of child and adult life. The year around. Unfortunately, the public school system has failed a majority of our people, as it does not teach the vitally needed use of the moral compass, and how to use such to navigate for the rest of their lives. For this, a civic education was introduced to us by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and has since been long suppressed by other organizations that came after. Another illustration is the consolidation and federation of religious institutions built upon peace advances to the human race, both at home and in the foreign fields, for the strengthening of the feeling of the oneness of human interests and the breaking down of the unreal and artificial differences between mankind. Nothing expressed this point like Mohammedan Islam, which united scattered societies and cultures into one force. Unfortunately, even that form of Islam produced men who altered the meanings of texts to fit their own delusions. See, that's what I'm saying, of how the world should be. And so Allah sent us a universal prophet. See, we got a universal prophet. Most prophets were just for those areas and times, but we got a universal prophet, Noble Drew Ali, with a universal message. And he taught love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which alone can save the nations. It can save all the nations. So you have Muhammad did for the Arabs, Buddha did for the Asians and Indians, Confucius, like all of these prophets were for their areas and times, and we got a universal prophet here in North America. He was a universal prophet with a universal message. So it wasn't just for who looked like him. He brought a message to save the nations, that'll save the nations. He has the remedy to save all the nations from themselves. That's why he said, I brought you everything to save a nation. Now save yourself. Individuals, as such as members of religious organizations and social groups, should make civic instructions necessary in every grade of learning. An analogy of this is found in the religious training of children in the home and the place of worship, where the efforts of parents and religious teachers are unceasing. The child, as it enters school and passes from grade to grade, is conscious of its duties to others and of its blessings from others when the proper civic instructions are taught and enforced on a daily basis. We're not teaching instructions in a certain way to be getting what our just due is. We think somebody's supposed to come tell us when we're supposed to be the ones out here searching for this information to get our households in order. And gradation in the child's development is paralleled by the grades in the school or homeschool, and should be met grade by grade with more intensive study of the lessons begun in the lower grades, coupled with new interests. Learning from environment alone is not enough. The teacher must help the child to organize its reactions upon this environment so as to make more certain a wholesome interest and a social attitude. The gradation of the work in classes from primary to the higher grades should be from an observation of the services rendered by one individual to another, upward through the social groups and institutions to the machinery of government as a means of conducting, controlling, and advancing all individual and social activities. At every step of the way, emphasis must be put upon helpful human service as the fundamental principle of true citizenship. The message of the Moorish Science Temple of America should be a constant reminder to all students of the field and all members in general. We are friends and servants. Remember, and even biblically, Jesus called some friends, and he called some servants. He called them friends at first, and he called them servants. Because finding out a friend will trade on you, a servant will too. So they're the same. They don't do no different. Their loyalty ain't no different. So we are friends and servants of humanity. We are dedicated to the purpose of elevating the moral, social, and economic status of our people. We have set about to do this through a wide, comprehensive program embodying the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We are friends and servants of humanity. We as Moorish American Muslims are friends and servants of humanity. Like I said, but a friend and servant won't be loyal to you. So do you see your Moors that are loyal to being the servant and the friend? Because they're the ones out there doing the work. You have some that's just sitting there waiting. And as soon as they wait for someone else to do something, then here they come. We should be working together to make this happen. Not one person can do this. So all this talk about a one person and a this, no, it's not one person. We have to make this happen as a collective. So this message is only for those that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. The message is not for everyone. Because if you're not on the side of Allah, the message is not for you. You were caught up in the rapture, and whatever energy you got going on, whether it's lewdness, slander, theft, everything that harms, you're stuck in that energy. When you don't know why you can't get out of the energy, why your attitude is just bad and you're trying to shift it, because you did get caught in the rapture. The rapture wasn't what you thought it was. It wasn't just snatching you up out of here. It's your energy. What energy are you in? Now you're stuck in that for probably 2,000 more years. Islam. So with that, I want to talk about social duties before I go there, and I'm already on the page. All praises due to Allah. Allah knows best. Look at you. So Islam, the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 30. Holy instructions from the Prophet, the social duties. Because we all have social duties. As we're reading here in this civics guide. This is why civics is important. And we should be more on teaching civics to our children every day. A social duty. You're a servant and a friend to humanity. Islam. So holy instructions from the Prophet, the social duties. When thou considereth thy wants, when you consider your wants, when you behold your imperfections, acknowledge his goodness, acknowledge Allah's goodness, even for all your imperfections, your wants, and what you behold. But acknowledge his goodness. O Son of humanity, who honor thee with humanity, endow thee with speech, and place thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations. Protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life, all these thou owest to the assistance of others, and couldst not enjoy but the bands of society. So you can't enjoy this but in the bands of society. You need your society. You need your community. You need your people. You can't do this on your own as hard as you think you want to be and do it on your own. You can't do this on your own. This ain't a do on my own thing. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. So as Moorish American Muslims, when we know we're Muslims, and this is in spirit, because anybody could sit around here and walk around and say, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Muslim, I'm a this. But we're talking about in the spirit. Can you see from their spirit? Does their spirit exude that? Does it exude the love and the compassion that only a prophet or only Allah would bring to you. Not someone that's full of slander and their heart is hardened and they can't even have compassion for the next person. Cannot be anyone chosen from Allah. So it's our duty to be a friend to mankind, because as a Moorish American Muslim, in truth, a lot of NPCs are around here saying that they're what they are, but they're not. They're not this. And you can tell by their works. You're going to be able to tell by the words, works, and deeds. What they speak, how they're moving, and what kind of deeds that they're performing. Not that they got to be seen performing them, but the fact that you know that they do them. They have good deeds. So it is our duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind. Y'all have to understand there's a mankind walking around here. And they'll call it an NPC. That's mankind. Kind of a man. Not really one, but kind of one. Still walks around as 3/4 of a man. Kind of a man, not really a man. So people put these labels and things on themselves. But as humanity, that's different. Mankind is something else. As I said, it's kind of a man. Doesn't necessarily make him a man. Islam. So we must be friendly to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. So it is our interest that man should be friendly to thee. He may not be, but that's not up to us. Our duty is to be a friend to mankind. Me as a Moorish American Muslim, my duty is to be a friend to mankind. Whether mankind decides to be a friend to me or not, it's still my duty as a Moorish American Muslim, because me in spirit is being a Muslim. Me walking in the faith of Islam, not what the religion of Islam is. That's not what it is. Islamism is our religion, because it's our application of Islam in our life. And if you know anything about Islam, that just simply has to do with peace. It simply just means peace. So before even the religion came about, we lived Islam. We lived peace with one another. We lived in peace, harmony. We didn't live in all this chaotic mess that we're in, that we've allowed another energy of mankind to come in and bestow upon us. Islam. So as the rose breathes sweetness from its own nature, so the heart of a benevolent man produces good works. So that heart of a benevolent man, just because he shows up looking some kind of way, don't make him a benevolent person, or her neither. I'm telling you, the heart will speak. You will see through their actions, really, if they're sincere. They can put on all they want to, but it'll show whether they're sincere or not. It'll show whether they're dressed up in a suit that is unfamiliar. You take the suit off, that is not the person. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of wolves walking around with sheep's clothing. And you're probably seeing it more than now ever. So he enjoys the ease and tranquility of his own breast and rejoices in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. So he enjoys the tranquility of his own. Like, he's not jealous because somebody else got something more than him, or he's not using the system to try to get over on. He enjoys the ease and tranquility of his own breast and rejoices in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. You should be happy for your people. That's why it says being kind, being a friend to mankind. You should be happy for others. When you see them doing great, be truly happy for them. Not with a sour heart. Like, you can be like, oh, I'm so excited for you. Yet your heart is so hardened for what you're saying. And the compassion is not in it. You can't hide from that no more. You can't hide that you're a compassionate person no more. It shows. Because I promise you, within 72 hours, it's going to come out who you truly are. He openeth not his ears unto slander. The faults and the failings of men give a pain to his heart. His desire is to do good, and he researches out the occasions thereof. In removing the oppression of another, he relieveth himself. So removing the oppression of another, this is a social duty, y'all. When you're in a position that you can remove the oppression of another and you don't do so, you don't think you're going to have to answer to that. That's why I said this rapture is deeper than what y'all think it is. You're going to get your butt whooped for not even adhering to your social duties. To your social duties. It's just getting ramped up, y'all. This Libra season's for a reason. Libra has to do with balance. And if you ain't got no balance, baby, you're going to be thrown completely off of it. Trying to figure out how to climb back in to get the balance back. That's what this rapture has been about. Have you been doing the work? Have you really been doing the work that you claim you did? Or that you show up to look like you so-called did? Because you might dress it up and make it seem like I've been doing the work. But have you really? This is the time that it's going to show that you haven't or you have. Have you really been on your social duties? Because your desire to do good, he researches out the occasions thereof. In removing the oppression of another, he relieveth himself. So when you remove the oppression of another, it should feel like a relief from yourself. That means you got some compassion in you, some love in you. You're not just removing it because you want to be noticed. You're removing it because you can feel how that person's feeling. There's some compassion behind what you're doing. Islam. From the largeness of his mind, he comprehended in his wishes the happiness of all men, and from the generosity of his heart, he endeavoreth to promote it. So, from the largeness of his mind, he comprehended in his wishes the happiness of all. Man, I want happiness for everyone. I would not like to live in abundance and not be able to share it with others, because I want others to know what that feels like. I know what it feels like not to have. I know what that feels like. And I don't want nobody to feel that way. That's the thing with me. But to know what it feels like to have abundance that you can just pour out to others is the ultimate for me. Because I love to see others happy. I want to see others do great in what they want to do, what they're dreaming to do. And if there's any way that I can help, whether it's words of encouragement, whether it's a resource I may have, whatever it is, I endeavor to promote it. I sure do. I endeavor to promote it. I want to help you. I want to put the spark to it. And that's what a social duty is. I may not can give it to you financially, but if I have the resource to help you, guide you along the way, I'm not going to hold that back from you. But don't use my resources either. Like, I'm very protective of my people. Don't disrespect my resources, because I'll come for you, because I hold them very dear to my heart and who they are and the relationships I've built with them over many years. That I'm not going to let just someone come in and take advantage of no one I love. Period. It's not going to happen. So that's the largeness of my mind. And I comprehend in my wishes the happiness of all men. And from the generosity of my heart, I endeavoreth to promote it. Because when we're reading these instructions, you need to speak to you. You need to speak to you, whether it's from a miserable point of view to the most happiest point of view. You need to place you in these instructions so that you can guide yourself and save yourself from the destruction. Islam from the destruction. So I want to go back and read in some of this civics guide. So that was just to show you those social duties. And that falls under civics. These social duties falls under civics. Citizenship. Oh, yes. Let's talk about this one, because this is a big thing right now. Birthright citizenship. They're taking away birthright citizenship. For who, though? For who? People that came over here to become a citizen, or the indigenous people? There's a difference. Citizenship, its true meaning. A new conception prevails today of the citizenship and citizen and citizenship. The narrowness of the Egyptian city-state is deep buried in the past. The surety of the Moorish government in Spain was dissipated by the virility of the envious nations of European monarchs. The divinely appointed king ruling over the rest of us as subjects now sleeps peacefully. Lords and serfs today dine together. Capitalists and laborers look for protection to the same courts. Rival nations are dreaming of a universal board of arbitration. One language, through trained interpreters, tells these tales of progress. The world around, the World Wide Web, internet, by relays, encircles the earth with a message of man's triumphs and imminent failures. These changed conditions make a new world and necessities a new type of citizenship. The nations of the earth are closer together today than the Egyptian states were thousands of years ago. All kind of commercial, political, and social relations among the nations makes each nation dependent upon each other. More so now than we ever have seen according to recorded history. These ties call for a citizenship and patriotism free from race, antagonism, and illumined with the spirit of human service. And we feel that very tenets of the Moorish American doctrine, descendants of the world's first civilization and divine creed, can bring this very ideal to fruition. The means of education have so multiplied through the internet and the press that the people of the world can no longer be kept in ignorance of what the world offers to the enlightened. Every citizen of a free country aspires to read and think for him or herself, to vote and to have a voice in shaping every institution of society. We are fed, clothed, and entertained from every land and every clime, and we traverse the world over for pleasure, knowledge, and wealth. All of these privileges and blessings are brought to our homes and shared with our children. The lives of children and adults day by day are enriched from the treasure stores of the world. The morning, noon, the rising, noon, and evening press relays to us of the struggles, conquests, sorrows, and joys of mankind everywhere. The new citizenship means a preparation for the understanding and appreciation of this complex and rich world life. The leading nations are all engaged in this progressive development of civilization. The echoes of war are but accidents in this forward march of humanity. The Moorish American Muslims must now take their place at the table and engage once again in the affairs of men. The peoples of the world understand each other better and are more deeply concerned with their mutual welfare than ever before. The proper education of our children for the further development of this spirit and work is the most vital cause in which society can engage. So, that has a lot to do with citizenship. So let's look up what citizenship means. What does that mean? Do we know what that means? We're going to ask her. What does citizenship mean? Can you give me the legal definition of citizenship?
The legal definition of citizenship is a legal status and relationship between an individual and a state, country, that entails specific legal rights and duties. It is generally used as a synonym for nationality, and it signifies that a person has the right to live in the state and cannot be refused entry or deported in its strictest sense. Key aspects of legal citizenship. While the exact specifics are determined by a country's national laws, the core legal concept of citizenship involves legal status and relationship. It establishes a formal bond recognized by law between an individual and a political community, rights and duties. This status grants the individual certain legal rights, like the right to vote, hold a passport, access welfare, education, or healthcare, and imposes corresponding duties, like obeying the law, paying taxes, and sometimes military service. Acquisition. Citizenship can generally be acquired in one of two main ways: by birth. This is usually based on either the location of birth, jus soli, or law of the soil, or the nationality of one's parents, jus sanguinis, or law of the blood. By naturalization. This is the process through which a foreign national voluntarily becomes a citizen after meeting specific legal requirements, such as a period of lawful residence, language proficiency, and demonstrating good moral character. For example, in the United States, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution establishes that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside.
So, what that is saying, because it says that citizenship is a synonym for nationality, and nationality is the quality and character of the fact of a person belonging to a nation, and also determines their political status. So, when people try to say, "Well, you trying to say you a citizen of," well, citizen is a synonym for nationality, period. If you don't know what a synonym is, do you remember that from school synonyms? Do we need to look that up too? Can you define synonym?
A synonym is a word or phrase that means exactly or nearly the same as another word or phrase in the same language. It comes from the Greek word syn, meaning together or same, and onoma, meaning name. Key characteristics of synonyms: interchangeability, sometimes. While two words may be synonyms, they are not always perfectly interchangeable in every context. For instance, big and large are synonyms, but you might say my big brother, referring to age, but less often my large brother. Context and connotation.
Yes.
True synonyms may differ slightly in their connotation.
So a synonym is just another word. It's like the same thing. It's just another word for it. That's all that it is. So citizenship, where do you fall under? I fall under it by birth, period. I'm not naturalized by birth. It's based on either the location of birth or the nationality of one's parents. Both of my parents' nationality and birth was right here. Their parents' nationality and birth was right here. Their parents' nationality and birth was right here. It continues to go back right here. So by birth. Naturalization, this is the process through which a foreign national voluntarily becomes a citizen after meeting specific legal requirements, such as a period of lawful residence, language proficiency, and demonstrating good moral character. So, when we're talking about this birthright citizenship, the reason why it's being taken because the naturalized people been using our birthright citizenship, which naturalization falls under the 14th and 15th Amendment. We don't fall under that. That's not what we fall under. So we're birthed. Our birthright. This is our birthright. Period. Our birthright is here. So that's the difference. When people are always, oh, well, you said you're a citizen, so you've contracted back in with the people. No, you have not. No, you have not. You don't even, do you know the definition legally? Are you just going off of what people say to you? Everyone goes off of what people are just saying and haven't taken the time to even study these lessons. Have not even went into a temple to see what is this all about. No, you haven't. You haven't. So with a citizenship being the legal status, it establishes a formal bond recognized by law between an individual and a political community. The status grants the individual certain legal rights, like the right to vote, hold a passport, access welfare, education, or healthcare. That's what it does, Islam. So, when we talking about this citizenship that we just read about in the Moorish American Civics Guide, it's specifically telling you what citizenship really is. It is your nationality. It's you proclaiming your nationality. But in that citizenship, you have social duties too. See, people just want to proclaim their nationality and not do nothing behind it. There's no action being done behind it. They just proclaim their nationality. But they ain't went into their social duties. They ain't learned magistrate and subject. They ain't learning none of that for themselves. Islam. So, specific aims in teaching civics, because this is going to be my last page before I go to the Exiles of Florida. Besides our moral and spiritual growth, civics is as rich in specific aims as any other subject of the Moorish American curriculum. These aims are even more vital in the development of real men and women that are the aims of other subjects. In fact, the highest aims of all the subjects of the curriculum are those whose blossom and fruitages is citizenship. Reference for the home is fundamental in the training of children. The ceaseless grind of the unhallowed child support and divorce courts attest this need. Hold on. Reverence for the home is fundamental in the training of children. The ceaseless grind of the unhallowed child support and divorce courts attest this need. The family and the home of the family is the unit for civilization. No virtue is needed. No virtue is needed. No virtue is needed, or in fact can be in any other social, political, or industrial group that is not essential to a pure and efficient home. Patience, sympathy, duty, service, obedience, honesty, truthfulness, courage, fortitude, industry, sacrifice, forgiveness, purity. Are not all of these the virtues of a righteous home? These civics and your citizenship, this proclaims your nationality right here too. Do all children receive sufficient training in these virtues in their home? The first duty of the temple or the home school is to supplement the work of the home in developing in the children the habits and attitudes which underline the character of a true citizen. Children not reared in a spirit of reverence for the home, the institution that brought them into existence, are but poorly equipped to enter into the broader relationships of life in which the home is but a unit. This begs repeating the quote from the prophet Confucius in the opening page of this book. The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home. The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home. Virtues are not acquired by merely passing over the boundary line from one institution to another. They must become bone and sinew of the individual, and this is where the divine instructions given us by our prophet Noble Drew Ali and our Moorish Holy Koran is of the utmost vital. Learning to share with one another our blessings is an aim in our newfound citizenship. The child especially needs to learn early and well the lesson that no one can live in his life alone, and that he enjoys no blessing to which others have not made a contribution. The home is protected from fire and from the robber by the organized service of the individuals of society. The public school that the child attends is maintained by a common tax or the temples or other religious organization. School is maintained by donations from the common citizen alike. Likewise, the temple, mosque, church, the library, the parks, the roads, these are made possible by a sharing of service. The good citizen makes his contribution to the common welfare. More and more society is expecting this mutual service for her members, both from the poor and from the rich. The idea today is that good citizen is the one who holds an opportunity or wealth only as a trustee to use it for the common good. He is not a parasite living without working, but is a producer of wealth. He is not a miser, a cheapskate, hoarding his income, but is a distributor of his goods. With this point of view, that individual or that nation which creates and distributes the most to the people of the world is the best and greatest in citizenship. The temple and the school connected thereof, and all of its teachings and activities, should give the children this point of view. This is the thought in the preamble of the United States Constitution, to promote the common welfare and to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. The child in its simplicity will catch this spirit if it is the tone and the teaching of the home and the school. Citizens should be able to make the wisest selections of vocations and should see, appreciate, and do what society needs. At this point, the present day training for citizenship is weak, but little is being done systematically to help the boys and girls, regardless of national descent, to discover what they are best fitted to do and to help them to analyze the needs of society in various industries and professions. Well, society is not doing enough in an unselfish way to aid young people in entering upon their vocations with assurance of success. So not enough is being done for the children either to set them up. Too many adults are arguing. So we should be teaching our children. We should truly be teaching our children. And I'm gonna go here because this is what sets the tone for our babies. Holy instructions for thy children. The divine instructions from the Holy Prophet. Because we say this is a rebuilding of our nation. The resurrection of our nation. Our nation's coming back, regardless of what anybody's telling you, regardless of what anyone will say to you. Our nation is coming back. It's being resurrected. So, that light is cute, ain't it? So I'm gonna read from the divine instructions, and I'm loving this because I can just flow. I'm not really tripping if someone's there, someone's not there. All right, Islam. The divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 23. Holy instructions for thy children. So there's 12 disciplines. There's a 12-step ladder. And in Sunday school, this is our baby food. Sunday school, this is our baby food. Islam, the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 23, holy instructions for thy children. Instruction 1, consider thou art a parent. Consider you're a parent. Anyone that's out here a parent, consider you're a parent. The importance of your trust, the being thou hast produced. It is thy duty to support. So as I was just reading to you out of the civics guide of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, that we need to be teaching our children civics so that they know how to handle their social duties, so they know how to show up in the world, so they know how to show up. It ain't got nothing to do with your color. It has to do with what you're doing in these homes for these children to go out into the world and present themselves to the world. What are you teaching them for real? Because all of this madness and nonsense is starting at home. So you're a parent. The importance of your trust, the being that you produce. We produce these children. It's our duty to support. Whether young or old, it's still our duty to support. Upon thee also it dependeth whether the child of thy bosom be a blessing or a curse to yourself, a useful or worthless member to the community. So even through your children, you'll be able to see, are you good to your community? Because through your children, you'll be able to see really if you're even useful to your community. Are you worthless to your community? Because it's going to show up in the way your children show up. It will, truly will. Prepare him early with instruction, him or her early with instruction, and season their minds with the maxims of truth. Season their minds with truth, not nonsense, not the craziness that we season it with. Season it with truth. Watch the bent of their inclinations. Set him or her right in his or her youth, and let no evil habit gain strength with his or her years. So when you see them inclining, you see the inclination going down, set them right. Set them back right. Set them back right for what they should be in their youth. And let no evil habit gain strength with their years. So whether it's they don't know how to say, excuse me, ask properly for things, any of that. You have to be the one that sets the tone for your children out here in the world. Because a lot of times we're not setting the tone for our children. So we're sending them out there and they're acting crazy. My mom would always say to me, I'm so glad you have home training. I'm so glad you got home training. There we go. She would say, I'm so glad you got home training. Islam. Hey, private property, how you doing? I'm so glad you got some home training. That at least you know how to act when you out here in these streets. You ain't acting a fool like as if I didn't train you right. So that's where I'm saying, watch the bent of their inclination, set them right in their youth, and let no evil habit gain strength with their years. So shall he or she rise like a cedar on the mountains. His or her head shall be seen above the trees of the forest. A wicked son or daughter is a reproach to his father, but he that does right is an honor to his gray hairs. The soil is thy own. Let it not want cultivation. The seed which thou sowest, that also shall thou reap. So whatever seed you sow it into your child, whether you didn't give them enough attention, peace and love, Islamism, you didn't give them enough attention, whatever it was, whatever you sowed into that child, when they get older and they get to do it, understand this is the seed you sowed. This is the seed you sowed. Because that soil is yours. That soil is your own. So it shouldn't want cultivation. You should have been cultivating it. Because that seed which you soweth, you will also reap. You will also reap it. So if they're acting out, crazy, whatever they got going on, what did you sow? What did you sow? Teach them obedience, and he shall bless thee. This is where your 12-step ladder is coming in. Your 12 disciplines, the 12 disciples, however you want to put it. They're disciplines. Teach him obedience, and he shall bless thee. Teach him modesty, and he shall not be ashamed. Teach him gratitude, and he shall receive benefits. Teach him charity, and he shall gain love. Teach him temperance, and he shall have health. Teach him prudence, and fortune shall attend him. Teach him justice, and he shall be honored by the world. Teach him sincerity, and his own heart shall not reproach him. Teach him diligence, and his wealth shall increase. Teach him benevolence, and his mind shall be exalted. Teach him science, and his life shall be useful. Teach him religion, and his death shall be happy. That's the 12-step ladder we need to be teaching. While we're teaching these civics, we teach them this. We are the reason for the bar mitzvahs. That was originally for us. That was our rites of passage for our boys. The quinceañeras, those were the rites of passages for our girls. Some people held on to our culture and heritage, and they took it and ran with it. We let it go, and we decided to throw Sweet 16 parties on MTV. We weren't setting them up to be of great civics and social duties, good citizens to the world. We played them. We played our children. When we should have been doing rites of passages for them. This is what we're gaining you to get you to this next step. But that takes community too. It takes us as a community to come together. So that 12-step ladder is very important when we're talking about that civics guide. That civics guide is a way for us to set up our whole entire school system. That's how we set up a whole school. We don't need a curriculum. We have one right there. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali left us with everything we needed. It was just us taking the time to unfold it and use it in the proper way. It's been weaponized. The prophet's information has been so weaponized by so many people, Islam absolutely. It's been weaponized that it has not been properly instructed. People have not properly followed the instructions correctly. Just like when you had a teacher and she say, follow the directions on the paper. People have not followed these instructions properly. It's been misused and abused. The prophet Noble Drew Ali in the name of the prophet. Whether they've been, whatever they've been doing through the temples, it's not in honor of our prophet. You don't see church people slanging drugs and doing that I know of. You don't see that on the surface. And as bad as they paint the Moors, when we're the reason for the whole civilization. When you hear the word Moor, it don't mean to one specific. We were all over, and we do got cousins that are Moors that just wasn't right. You all got that in your family. We're just learning 80% of people are NPCs. They're not really real. They're just playing a character for you right now. That's what it is. So in the instructions to your children, holy instructions for thy children, that's our way to keep the house in order. That's a way that you can send your children out in the bands of society, and you know that they're going to show up and they're going to be of great service. They can show up and handle them social duties in a respectful way because you've guided them and you've taught them. You supported them. But like it says, upon you, it also depends whether that child is a blessing or a curse to yourself. It's up to us as a parent that has these children. They're a reflection of us. They're reflecting off of us. Right or wrong? They're reflecting off of us, Islam. So we got to be more responsible, even in their adulthood. It doesn't matter. Even in their adulthood. So you might feel like, oh, because they're adults. I say that too sometimes. But even in their adulthood, we still have to be guiding them in the right way. That doesn't stop. I'm 52 and still have to have questions, even at 52. So it doesn't stop. You always going to need some kind of direction, some kind of straightening, no matter what. Because maybe you have fell off. You haven't stood on your square and you need that adjustment. It's nothing wrong with it. Whether young, whether old, we should be all right. We're not too good for reproach from anyone, especially if they're telling you right. Islam. So out of that, I just like to say this all the time for my prophet, Noble Drew Ali. He says, if I could just get you all thinking again, you would save yourselves. If we could just get, the prophet says, if we could just get y'all thinking again, you would save yourselves. You would save yourself. You wouldn't look for no one to save you. You wouldn't look for the person to blame it on. You would say, you know what? This duty is mine. I need to save myself. So I want to read something out of this, the Exiles of Florida. I have so much that I could share. So much that I have. Man, I have so much that I could just share with everyone. But that's why I created the course, so that you can go and learn of these things and you can see these things. Because on the school platform, that's where you're able to see all this stuff. You're able to get a hold to it so you can study it yourself. Gotta cleanse the fluoride. Yes, and many things besides just fluoride, I tell you. Many things besides just fluoride, huh? Let me see. The Exiles of Florida. That's where we coming out of. The Exiles of Florida. Florida. Let's see. I was just on this today. I don't know where it went all of a sudden. There we go. The Exiles of Florida. I don't know if y'all heard of that. But I'm going to read probably about, what is that? We're going to read through this. I'm going to go back and forth probably in between there because I want to bring out magistrate and subject before I read the Declaration of Independence. So the Exile of Florida, if you guys have never heard of this, look it up. It's a book. It's actually a book. It's called The Exiles of Florida. Let me tell you who is responsible for it. To my constituents, J.R. Giddings. I believe that's who it's from. Let's see. Yes. Okay. The Exiles of Florida by Joshua R. Giddings. Joshua R. Giddings, Giddings. So we're going to go through this, the Exiles of Florida. The reason why I'm coming from the Moorish Civics Guide, this Exiles of Florida, and the Declaration of Independence, because I'm trying to show you how a lot of things that have been going on, we could have solved this some time ago. But it's just to prove how we could have solved it. That it's just our laziness that has stopped us from solving our own issue, because it's both socially and economically. That is our biggest problems as quote unquote Black, Negro, colored folks, African Americans. Social and economically. We don't know how to socialize. We don't know how to bring it together. We don't. Okay, introduction. Discarding that code of morals which teaches the suppression of truth for the purpose of upholding the honor either of the government or of the individuals who wield its administration. The author of the following work has endeavored to give a faithful record of those interesting events which appear directly connected with the Exiles of Florida. With the Exiles of Florida. Muted. Nah, it ain't muted. It ain't muted. There we go. The Exiles of Florida. My apologies. Okay. The author of the following work has endeavored to give a faithful record of this interesting events which appear directly connected with the Exiles of Florida. Torn from their native land, their friends and homes, they were sold in the markets of Carolina and Georgia, feeling the hand of oppression bearing heavily upon them. They fled to Florida and under Spanish laws became free. So peep that. Torn from their native land, their friends and homes, they were sold in the markets of Carolina and Georgia. If y'all remember, I did a demonstration on how much land was lost from the tribes, from the Choctaws, the Cherokees, the Creeks, and all that. We were pushed from up out of here. So from Georgia, Tennessee, going all the way across, we lost at one time 11.63 billion acres of land. That's how much we lost. And that's not all of it. That's just what they can say from that point, from being pushed out of the South into the West and Midwest. But some went to Florida. Islam, the Louisiana Choctaws, Islam. We owned all of that. And we lost all of that land. Not even during the Louisiana Purchase. Even before the Louisiana Purchase, we lost it. 13 colonies, all that stuff that went on, right? But during the Louisiana Purchase, when they took over Colorado at that time, that's when they took Colorado. So they were torn from their native lands, feeling the hand of oppression bearing heavily upon them. They fled to Florida and under Spanish laws became free. Holding lands of the Spanish crown, they became citizens of that territory, entitled to protection. To regain possession of their truant bondmen, Georgia made war upon Florida, but failed to obtain her object. At a time of profound peace, our army, acting under the direction of the executive, invaded Florida, murdered many of these free men, and brought others to the United States and co-signed them to slavery. An expense and bloody war followed, but failing to capture more of the exiles, our army was withdrawn. This war was followed by diplomatic efforts. Florida was purchased. Treaties with the Florida Indians were made and violated. Gross frauds were perpetuated. Dishonorable expedients were resorted to, and another war provoked. During its protracted continuance of 7 years, bribery and treachery were practiced towards the exiles and their allies. The Seminole Indians, flags of truce were violated. The pledged faith of the nation was disregarded. By these means, the removal of the exiles from Florida was effected. After they had settled in the Western country, most of these iniquities were repeated until they were driven from our nation and compelled to seek an asylum in Mexico. Men who wielded the influence of government for the consumption of these crimes assiduously labored to suppress all knowledge of their guilt, to keep facts from the popular mind, to falsify the history of current events, and prevent an exposure of our national turpitude. The object of this work is to meet the state of circumstances, to expose fraud, falsehood, treachery, and other crimes of public men who have prostituted the powers of government to the perpetuation of murders, at the contemplation of which our humanity revolts. The author has designed to place before the public a faithful record of events, appropriately falling within the purview of the proposed history. He has endeavored, as far as possible, to do justice to all concerned. Where the action of individuals is concerned, he has endeavored to make them speak for themselves through official reports, orders, letters, or written evidence from their own hands. And he flatters himself that he has done no injustice to any person. Okay, that's just the introduction of this. So I'm just going to read about, I think it's like 5 pages. Because this is a pretty lengthy book. I mean, it's 369 pages. That's why I would love for you to go and grab it, read it, get into it. Because I just want to give it to you so you can go and research it to find it. Because it has great, great information in it. So, The Exiles of Florida, Chapter 1. Circumstance attending the early history of slavery in the colonies. The settlement of Florida, boundaries of Carolina, enslaving Indians. They flee from their masters. Africans follow the example. Spanish policy in regard to fugitive slaves. Carolina demands the surrender of exiles. Florida refuses. Colony of Georgia established. Its object, exiles called Seminoles. Slavery introduced into Georgia. Seminole Indians separate from Creeks. Slave escape from Georgia. Report of Committee of Safety. Report of General Lee. The Treaty of Augusta. The Treaty of the Galphaton. Singular conduct of Georgia. War between the Creeks and Georgia. Resolution of Congress. Treaty of Soldier Bone. Hostiles continue. Georgia calls on United States for assistance. Commissioner sent to negotiate the treaty. Failure. Colonel Willet's mission. chiefs, headmen, and warriors repaired to New York. Treaty forms, secret article, extraordinary covenants. This is all in this first chapter. Florida was originally settled by Spaniards in 1558. They were the first people to engage in the African slave trade and sought to supply other nations with servants from the coast of Guinea. The colonists held many slaves, expecting to accumulate wealth by the unrequited toil of their fellow men. Carolina, by her first and second charters, claimed a vast extent of country, embracing St. Augustine and most of Florida. This conflict of jurisdiction soon involved the colonists in hostilities. The Carolinas also held many slaves, profiting by the labor of her servants. The people sought to increase their wealth by enslaving the Indians who resided in their vicinity. Hence, in the early slave codes of that colony, we find reference to Negro and other slaves. When the boundaries of Florida and South Carolina became established, the colonists found themselves separated by territory, now constituting the state of Georgia, at that time mostly occupied by Creek Indians. The efforts of the Carolinas to enslave the Indians brought with them the natural and appropriate penalties. The Indians soon began to make their escape from service to the Indian country. This example was soon followed by the African slaves, who also fled to the Indian country, and in order to secure themselves for pursuit, continued their journey into Florida. We are unable to fix the precise time when the persons thus exiled constituted a separate community. Their numbers had become so great in 1736 that they were formed into companies and relied on by the Floridans as allies to aid in the defense of that territory. They were also permitted to occupy lands upon the same terms that were granted to the citizens of Spain. Indeed, they in all respects became free subjects of the Spanish crown. Probably to this early and steady policy of the Spanish government, we may attribute the establishment and continuance of this community of exiles in that territory. A messenger was sent by the colonial government of South Carolina this was in 1788. A messenger was sent by the colonial government of South Carolina to demand the return of these fugitive slaves who had found an asylum in Florida. The demand was made upon the governor of St. Augustine, but was promptly rejected. This was the commencement of a controversy which has continued for more than a century, involving our nation in a vast expenditure of blood and treasure, and it yet remains undetermined. The constant escape of slaves and the difficulties resulting therefrom constituted the principal object for establishing a free colony between South Carolina and Florida, which was called Georgia. Interesting. It was thought that this colony being free would afford the planters of Carolina protection against the further escape of their slaves from service. These exiles were, by the Creek Indians, called Seminoles, which in their dialect signifies runaways, and the term being frequently used while conversing with the Indians came into almost constant practice among the whites. And although it has now come to be applied to a certain tribe of Indians, yet it was originally used in reference to these exiles long before the Seminole Indians had separated from the Creeks. Some 8 years after the colony of Georgia was first established, efforts were made to introduce slavery among its people. The ordinary argument that it would extend the Christian religion was brought to bear upon Whitefield and Habersham, and the Salzburgers and the Moravians, until they consented to try the experiment, and Georgia became thenceforth a slave-holding colony, whose frontier bordered directly upon Florida. bringing the slaves of her planters into the very neighborhood of those exiles who had long been free under Spanish law. This is something else. A difficulty arose among the Creek Indians, which eventually become irreconcilable. A chief named Kofi, with a large, this was in 1750, with a large number of followers, left that tribe, at that time residing with the present limits of Georgia and Alabama, and continuing their journey south, entered the territory of Florida, and under the Spanish colonial policy were incorporated with the Spanish population, entitled to lands wherever they could find them unoccupied, and to the protection of Spanish laws. From the year of 1750, Kofi and his followers rejected all Creek authority, refused to be represented in Creek councils, held themselves independent of Creek laws, elected their own chiefs, and in all respects became a separate tribe, embracing the Muskogees, with whom they united. They settled in the vicinity of the exiles associated with them, and a mutual sympathy and respect existing. Some of their people intermarried, thereby strengthening the ties of friendships, and the Indians, having fled from oppression and taking refuge under Spanish laws, were also called Seminoles or runaways. After Georgia became a slaveholding colony, we are led to believe the practice of slaves leaving their masters, which existed in South Carolina, became frequent in Georgia. But we have no definite information on this subject until about the commencement of the Revolutionary War in 1775, when the Council of Safety for the Colonials sent to Congress a communication setting forth that a large force of Continental troops was necessary to prevent slaves from deserting their masters. It was about the first communication sent to Congress after it met in 1776, and shows that her people then sought to make the nation bear the burdens of their slavery by furnishing a military force sufficient to hold her bondmen in fear. And if she adheres to the policy now, it merely illustrates the consistency of her people in relying upon the freemen of the North to uphold her system of oppression. Woo, baby. General Lee, this is 1776, commanding the military forces in that colony, called the particular attention of Congress to the fact that the slaves belonging to the planters fled from servitude and sought freedom among the exiles of Florida. There also yet remained in Georgia many descendants of those who, at the establishment of that colony, and since that time had opposed the institution of slavery. These people desired to testify their abhorrences of human servitude. They assembled in large numbers in the district of Darien and publicly resolved as follows: to show the world that we are not influenced by any contracted or interested motives, but by a general philanthropy for all mankind of whatever climate, language, or complexion. We hereby declare our disapprobation and abhorrence of slavery in America. The public avowal of these doctrines naturally encourage slaves to seek their freedom by such means as they possess. So, when you're reading into that and you see that, so they leave Georgia expecting, oh, we can get down here. Now we're free because we've made it to Florida, which is under Spanish rule. So they're under the freedoms of the Spanish rule, but then it's like they still end up getting sold back to where they just came from. Still getting caught up in the same thing. Which is sad because when we can look into this, these are still our people. They're still us. This is us doing it to us. Islam, us doing it to us all day. One day's travel would place some of them among friends and in the enjoyment of liberty, and they were sure to be kindly received and respectfully treated soon as they could reach their brethren in Florida. Of course, many availed themselves of this opportunity to escape from service. The exiles remained in the undistributed enjoyment of liberty during the War of the Revolution. The Creeks were a powerful and warlike people whose friendship was courted during the sanguinary struggle that secured our national independence. During these turbulent times, it would not have been prudent for a master to pursue his slave through the Creek country, or to have brought him back to Georgia if once arrested. The exiles, being thus free from annoyance, cultivated the friendship of their savage neighbors, rendered themselves useful to the Indians, both as laborers and in council. They also manifested much judgment in the selection of their lands for cultivation, locating their principal settlements on the rich bottoms lying along the Apalachicola and the Swanee rivers. You got Swanee, Georgia. If you don't know the Swanee, go to Swanee, Georgia. All of these things. When I start reading this Declaration of Independence, because it's not long, you'll hear some of the names, and you know, wherever you're at, you're going to hear the names. You're going to say, hey, that's that county. That's who that's named after. That's who that's named after. So you're seeing they never were able to be created. They could only grab from what they could. As long. Okay. Immediately after the close of the war, the authorities of Georgia are said to have entered into a treaty with the Creek Indians at Augusta, in which it is a line that the Creeks agreed to grant to that state a large tract of land and to restore such slaves as were the then residents among the Creeks. But we find no copy of this treaty in print or in manuscript. So these treaties that everybody wants to talk about, most of these treaties, we don't really know that, because this one even said, we don't even know that that even existed, because we can't find no copy of this treaty in print or manuscript. As early as 1789, only 6 years after it was said to have been negotiated, Hugh Knox, Secretary of War, in a communication to Congress, declared that no copy of this treaty was then in the possession of Congress, and it has not been since reprinted. Indeed, it is believed never to have been printed. 1785, the difficulty between Georgia and the Creeks becoming more serious, the aid of the Continental Congress was invoked for the purpose of securing the state in the enjoyment of what her people declared to be their rights. Okay, slavery was over in 1865. So we 1779 to 1865. We're seeing these dates because this is at 1785 when this happened. Congress appointed these three commissioners to examine the existing causes of difficulty and, if possible, to negotiate a treaty with the Creeks that should secure justice to all the people of the United States. Communities, like individuals, often exhibit in early life those characteristics which distinguish their mature age and become ruling passions when scintillity marks the downhill of life. Thus, Georgia, in her very infancy, exhibited that desire for controlling our national government, which subsequently marked her manhood. So you see, they keep saying her, because this is Mother Earth. This is feminine energy we talking about. So they've come and they've messed with her. They've messed with us. All right. Like I said, in Congress, her executive appointed 3 commissioners to attend and supervise the action of these appointed by the federal legislature. The time and place for holding the treaty had been arranged with the Indians by the governor of Georgia at Galphinton. The place appointed the commissioners of the United States, met those of Georgia, who presented them with the form of a treaty full drawn out and ready for signatures, and demanded for the commissioners of the United States its adoption. This extraordinary proceeding was treated by the federal commissioners in a dignified and appropriate manner in their report to Congress. One important provision of this Inchoate Treaty stipulated for the return of the people of Georgia of such fugitive Negroes as were then in the Indian country, and of such as might thereafter flee from bondage. The commissioners appointed by Congress waited at Galveston several days, and finding only 2 of the 100 towns composing the Creek tribe represented in the council about to be held, they refused to regard them as authorized to act for the Creek Nation, and would not consent to enter upon any negotiation with them as representatives of that tribe. This course was not in accordance with the ideas of the commissioners appointed by Georgia. After those of the United States had left, they proceeded to enter into a treaty with the representatives from the 2 towns who professed to act for the whole Creek Nation. That's what I like to say. There were people acting on our behalf. Everybody was not for this. Big Mama, Islam. Everybody wasn't for these treaties. People were acting, as if they were us. And they were signing stuff that a lot of us, the majority of none of us agreed to. And then even if someone was in agreement to something that they were supposed to uphold, they came in to massacre the women and the children. They just took them out. Whether it's the massacre in Colorado, there were massacres happening all over the place for the indigenous people. As you see, they were moving the indigenous people away and bringing the slaves in behind them so that they can intermingle and mix in together. So eventually everybody's confused. Eventually everyone's confused. Islam. Eventually that's what it is. Everyone's confused. So I want to come out of magistrate and subject, and then I'm going to read to you, and then we'll have a discussion, whatever, some discussions, but I want to read to you the magistrate and subject. Magistrate and subject. We're going to read that first because as a magistrate and subject, this is why we, even when we're voting, because we should have our own stuff set up. This is to teach us that we're really supposed to be, each one of our homes should be a temple. So when we come out in the streets, we meet our neighbors that look just like us because they're teaching their children the same. All of our households are in alignment with one another. This is why civics is important. This is why your social duty is important. So then when these things are going on, then we do get our country back. We get our continent back. Because we're not doing it we don't have to do it in a forceful way. We don't have to do it in a mean way. If we uphold to who we are and uphold to our duties, especially our duties to our ancestors, that's what's blocking us. That's why nothing is working in our favor, because we're working against us. We're working against ourselves. So let's go to, we're going to go to magistrate and subject. So important. Indeed, indeed. So magistrate and subject is what we need to be on. Because it's magistrate and subject. Oh, man. This is, it should be our government, y'all. Magistrate and subject. Because he said, I'm going to leave them here long enough to teach you how to run a government. But are you paying attention? We need chapter 25 every day. That is no joke. We need chapter 25. We need to be saying that at least 7, 8, 9 times a day. I'm going to be honest. We need to be saying that all the time. We first get up, while we brushing our teeth, while we're getting our day on, we should be humming it in the kitchen while we getting breakfast together. Like, that's how serious that chapter 25 is. And I'll go to chapter 25 too. just for the sake, because we need to do that. We're going to go to chapter 25 after I read that Declaration of Independence. That's when we're going to go to chapter 25. All right, so the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 29. Holy instructions from the prophet, magistrate, and subject. So Allah told us to read chapter 5, chapter 25, chapter 27, chapter 28, chapter 29. Chapter 29 would take place in 1950. So this chapter has taken place in 1950. The marriage covenant, Islam. Oh yeah, marriage instructions to husband and wife is very good too. We need that too. Set the house in order. You're right. Holy instructions from the prophet, magistrate, and subject. Islam. O thou, the favorite of heaven. So, O you, the favorite of heaven, whom the sons of man, thy equals, have agreed to raise to sovereign power and set as a ruler over themselves. So, that being said, O thou, the favorite of heaven, whom the sons of men, thy equals, have agreed to raise you to sovereign power and set a ruler over themselves. Set as a ruler over themselves. So even when we're coming to the vote or want a ruler over ourselves, we must got to know that you're the favorite of heaven, not just because you come to say this is who you are. Are you the favorite of heaven? And did the sons of men, which are thy equals, have agreed to raise you to sovereign power? So that means we should be able to see each other's works, words, deeds. We should be able to see all this, even in whoever we may choose to sit in a position to speak for us. Not just because they say who they are and I'm just showing up because I said this is who I am. No. Do you really fit in this right here? Are you our equals? Especially the equals that stand in the affairs of men. Especially the equals that's out here doing the work of the prophet. Do you stand as our equal? Or are you something else? Okay? Consider the ends and importance of their trust, far more than the dignity and height of thy station. So forget your station and what it says that you the this. I'm the Grand National, whatever I want to call, whatever they might want to call themselves. But the end and importance of your trust is far more than the dignity and height of your station. Can I trust you? Are you to be trusted with even the smallest thing? Because Jesus was homeless. Jesus was homeless. So can I trust you? Can your equals trust you? Thou art clothed in purple and seated on a throne. The crown of majesty investeth thy temples. The scepter of power is placed in thy hand. But not for thyself were these ensigns. So not for thyself were any of these ensigns, whether it's the flag, whether it's the scepter of power, whatever it may be, were not meant for thy own, but for the good of thy kingdom. So they ain't meant for you. So sometimes we hear people be so selfish about these things, talking about what they were brought here to, them. But that starts to become selfish and egotistical. You feel what I'm saying? It's not from a place of love. It's a place from ego. That's where it comes from. It comes from a place of ego. The glory of a king is the welfare of his people. The glory of a king is the welfare of his people. He would rather see the welfare of his people, and he's going to work toward that. And you're going to be able to see him working toward the welfare of his people, meaning something to him. This is how you choose someone. Because the glory of a king is the welfare of his people. His power and dominion rest on the hearts of his subjects. His power and dominion rest on the hearts of his subjects. Not just because you say and you got this and you look like this. Nah, literally, you can tell that his power and dominion rest on the hearts of his subjects. The mind of a great prince is exalted with the grandeur of his situation. He evolveth high things and searches for business worthy of his power. So he searches for business worthy of his power. He's not going out here doing street stuff in the name of the prophet. Street stuff in the name of Jesus, street stuff in the name of Buddha, street stuff in the name of Muhammad, street stuff in the name of Confucius. He's not doing that. He's not doing that. He searches for business worthy of his power. He calls together the wise men of his kingdom. The prophet had 15 temples in 15 different states at the time. 15 different states, 15 temples. So he called together the wise men of his kingdom. So he ain't no separation. You don't hear that there's no separation. They could be on 15 different things, but they're the wise men of his kingdom. They could be Hebrew Israelites, Christians, Nation of Islam. They could be all of these things, but they're the wise men of the kingdom. Don't matter, we on something different. We can agree to disagree. We may not be from the same tribe, but the kingdom, the men of his kingdom, the wise ones. He counseleth among them with freedom and heareth the opinions of them all. Not some, because you've been in the movement for 155 years. Not some, because you are grand governor. Not some, because you deal with this or that. But he says all. Opinions of them all. So it ain't based on your height or your station, what name you want to put on you, or none of that. He wants to hear the opinion of all. That's what a great magistrate does. He looketh among his people with discernment. He discovereth the abilities of men and employeth them according to their merits. His magistrates are just. His ministers are wise. And the favorite of his bosom deceiveth him not. The favorite of his bosom don't deceive him. So whether that's his wife, which most likely it is not going to deceive him. Because when you're a good person, what you attract should be good. Because behind every good man is a good woman. Behind every strong man is a strong woman. And I say side by side. I don't even say behind. I say side by side. He smileth on the arts, and they flourish. The sciences improve beneath the culture of his hand. With the learned and ingenious, he delighteth himself. He kindleth in their breasts emulation, and the glory of his kingdom is exalted by their labors. The spirit of the merchant who extendeth his commerce, the skill of the farmer who enriches his lands, the ingenuity of the artist, the improvements of the scholar, all these he honoreth with his favor, or rewardeth with his bounty. So he honoreth all these things with favor, or rewardeth with his bounty. He planteth new colonies, he buildeth strong ships, he openeth rivers for convenience, he formeth harbors for safety. His people abound in riches, and the strength of his kingdom increases. Because when you take care of your people, your kingdom will increase, because you're making sure everyone's good. It ain't about you. This is not an about you thing. It's about everyone. That's why I said just us. It's just us. He frameth his statutes with equity and wisdom. His subjects enjoy the fruits of their labor in security, and their happiness consists in the observance of the law. He founded his judgments on the principles of mercy, but in the punishment of offenders, he is strict and impartial. No one is too good for reproach. It's called the rule of law. If we got to take it from back then or even to today, no one's above the law. The rule of law stands for everyone. Ain't nobody too good for it. His ears are open to the complaints of his subjects. He restraineth the hands of their oppressors. He delivereth them from their tyranny. His people, therefore, look up to him as a father, with reverence and love. They consider him as the guardian of all they enjoy. Their affection unto him begetteth in his breast a love of the public. The security of their happiness is the object of his care. No murmurs against him arise in their hearts. The machinations of his enemies endanger not the state. His subjects are faithful and firm in his cause. They stand in his defense as a wall of brass. The army of a tyrant fleeth before them as chaff before the wind. Security and peace bless the dwelling of his people, and glory and strength encircle his throne forever. That's magistrate and subject. That's how you choose a leader. Like real time. Is you choose by seeing, is this what they doing? Even master and servant, we can even go in there. But this is to help you choose. If you're going to choose someone to be over you, then this is how you choose. He's a trustee, Islam. A trustee, Islam. So who can Father Allah and Mother Allah trust as a trustee over the people? And I mean over all people, not subject to who you think it should be to. The Prophet brought a universal message. It's a divine and national movement. So that means everywhere. It don't just stop here. And as my brother said, he's a trustee. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali, a trustee. Anyone that's supposed to be over the people should be a trustee. I should be able to trust you. Not think you're going to gyp me like they did for Egypt. We got gypped. I shouldn't feel like you're going to gyp me if you are living the life. But this is if you're living this life. So while people run to go vote for people every 4 years and they ain't never read to see, let's follow this person over the next 4 years. Who's saying they about to run for president? Let's see what their life has been, what their works have been, their works, their deeds. What have they done for the people for real? What have they not done for the people for real? Before we just run up in here because they look like us or because we don't want a certain person to be in there, but have y'all even read the fullness? Each sheik is to be a trustee. Well, we got a whole lot of work to do because I wouldn't trust not a one sitting in a seat right now, to be honest with you. Not a one over my life. Oh my goodness, no, I'm good. I'm gonna be honest. There's not one sheik I can see that is even one. Sad to say, but I don't see one sheik out here. Can't stand on it. Can't stand on it at all. That's why when it said that the prophet said no temples once I leave this body, that they're to do nothing in this business because he knew they was going to tear it up. Right there, what you just said, that sheiks are supposed to be trustees and they're not. I know that was his intention. That was his intention. But when you weren't here long enough to teach it, it makes it hard. And then finding out that those brothers on the back of that authority was only around the prophet for about 8 months before they took him up out of here. So he never really taught anything. He intended it, but he brought the instructions. He introduced the instructions. But we have to unfold these things in degrees. And he wasn't here long enough to help us unfold 1 degree. We still on the first page of the pamphlet. If anything, the Holy Koran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drew Ali, by the guidance of his Father God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father God Allah. We ain't even came off the first page, brother. We haven't, have we? We haven't even come off the first page, private property. We have not come off that first, the cover page. We still on the cover page of the Holy Koran. We're still on the cover page. Because if the sheiks were doing their due diligence, if they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, then we would activate this Declaration of Independence. Because in this Declaration of Independence, what it's saying is, oh my goodness, man, what we think we got, who we think over us ain't, and why we ain't did nothing about this. This our fault. This is why he said it would be this generation that gets it. Islam. Mm-hmm. You're so right. You're so right. Hold on, y'all. I'm going to call you right back, Jada, in like 20, 30 minutes, okay? Huh? Did you hear me?
No, what you say?
I said I'm gonna call you back in like 30 minutes, okay?
All right, take your time.
Okay, peace. All right, so let me get this Declaration of Independence. Because this was so whoa. And it was a video I had seen. It was a video I had. And I can't find it now. But it was he kind of looked like Lindsey Graham. But I know that wasn't him because it was an aged video. But it could be somebody in his family. But he looked like Lindsey Graham from Congress, right? And he was speaking about the Declaration of Independence and saying that little do people know that because this was created for a reason. So I'm gonna read it, and you're gonna hear who's been. They broke their stuff. This is why this came. They didn't do what they were supposed to do, so we were never under them anymore. Islam. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, a declaration by the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another. Remember, I said the bands of society, which connects us. Gotta be careful of these bands, though. Which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind. Remember, y'all gotta remember what I was just reading. You hearing words of the prophet even as I'm speaking this out of that Holy Koran. Requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Yes, this generation is going to get it. You're right. This generation is going to get it. That whatever any form of government becomes, okay, let's go. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Let's stop right there. January 6th happened. January 6th did happen. And it should have. Because I just told you that whenever any form of government, it don't matter what form of government it is, it don't matter. This is written. This is in the Declaration of Independence, which has been out since 1776. What is we doing, people? Because we crying about stuff that we could have fixed a long time ago. It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, right? Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Now, you heard me say mankind. I said, we're supposed to be friendly to mankind and trust that they'll be friendly to us. But it's up to us to be friendly to mankind. Mankind, so I'm going to go back, that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations It's been a long train of abuses and usurpations. They've usurped our name. They took our flag. They done did all this usurpation of us, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. This is our social duty, y'all. These are social duties. Time is up, Islam. And to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations. So they keep saying we're up under this British law and this. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. State means people. The tyranny over you as a people. This is written in 1776, July 4th. So what's going on here? Why shouldn't we be celebrating our independence? Because we've been independent. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, these Brits, right? He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He's neglected to even attend to them. These are the laws they're breaking themselves. They broke this. They did this. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people will relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them, and the formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records. The UN, why is that so far away from us? That we can't even get there to see what they're doing with our stuff. For the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with many firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. What is really going on, y'all? What is really going on? This has been up since 1776. We didn't know that they were breaking laws for something they decided to do as a treaty. You see these so-called treaties I was telling you about that all of us were not in agreement to, and we weren't in agreement because the person that was supposedly over this was not holding up to the duty that they said they would. And it was written in the Declaration of Independence that they was breaking laws. 1776. Slavery was over in 1865. We could have been done with this in 1776. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. Boy, this ain't right. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. Okay. So, oh, wow. And this is Britain. They should have been gone a long time ago. We're under British rule. We're under this. They should have been gone a long 1776. They time been up a long doggone time. Whoa, this is why they say, if you want to keep something from them black folks, put it in a book, because they ain't going to pick it up and read it. They'll argue about it. Oh, the Declaration of Independence. You ain't even read it. The brutish, you ain't even read it to know that these folks ain't supposed to be here at all, period. They have no birthright citizenship. They ain't naturalized in this bad boy, none of that, because they too far away. So he has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for the purpose of obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners. When I was just reading you that Exiles of Florida, you can see this right here too. Refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of a new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. Back up, let's go. So if you go look up what Amore, what's his name? Amore, I can't never get his name right. He just went and confronted the IMF. You got to know what the IMF is all about. That's the International Money Fund. That's how your judges, lawyers, Congress, this is where all these millions of dollars that's really in gold and silver that they're banking off of. They get kickbacks out of this for opening cases, putting people, locking them away, and they're all doing it under their private businesses. They have SAMS numbers, which are government contracts, and they have Duns and Bradstreet numbers, which are for business credit. Why does a judge need that? Why do they need all this? Because this is what they're doing. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. Coming up off a bus. That's why Torre said, oh no, I ain't come for that. I ain't coming to join no hands. I'm coming to get what belongs to us. I'm coming to get what belongs to us. He said, I'll keep him here long enough to show you how to run a government. Now, is you going to get up and run your government? Islam. But this right here is telling them they were breaking the rules. All it took for us is the people to come back and say, not, this ain't it. And you got to go. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He brought the so-called police in here like they were the military. If you read your Bill of Rights and you read up on the Bill of Rights where it talks about a soldier staying in your house during the time of war, but it was only for a certain time, because if not, that they could claim that belongs to them. They're soldiers in your house. You opened your door for them to come in. Read your Bill of Rights. It's in there. This is the Declaration of Independence showing you that these folks never stood on what they were supposed to stand on. Never. Whether it's the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, It was always left there, so there would never be a way they could get over on us. There would never be a way that they could get over on us. We've let them get over by being ignorant to information. That's what's happened. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. In times of peace, standing armies, which are these policy enforcers and all these folks that will write up these so-called ordinances to put our people in jail to make their money. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. So I'm already telling you, this is pretended stuff. We doing this to ourselves. Our people did it to themselves. They don't like the truth, but you did it to yourself because this has been here since 1776. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial. You know what a mock trial is? Out in school, elementary school, we were doing history. We had to do a mock trial in 6th grade. A mock trial is just a fake trial. So they've been protecting them. The Brits been protecting these folks that they done put in place by mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. We're the state. The state is the people. For cutting off trade with all parts of the world. They've been putting tariffs on us like crazy while they come over here and do their business. Open their gas stations, beauty supplies, liquor stores, all of that they do. Their buildings, whether it's their churches, their whatever. They cut us off for trade, and we're the ones that started all this. They cut us out of the trade, y'all. They cut us out the trade. With all the parts of the world for imposing taxes on us without our consent. So they've been opposing these tariffs on us without our consent. 100% for eggs. Did y'all forget? Now he done came in and told them, now y'all got to pay the tariffs to us, to the American people. Yes, because these countries, all these other people that claiming to be who they are that ain't, been eating off of us. They've been eating off of us. So we've been deprived. And we've been getting taxed and without our consent. For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury. They will interrogate you, tell you this, to try to make you confess to something you didn't do. They out of law for that. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. Come on. For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. For taking away our charters. Because even in the Moorish Science Temple of America, you have these rogue thugs that'll go take someone's charter away from them. So they're working with these people. We got to recognize the enemy. And it do look like us. It looks just like us. It looks just like us. For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government. Now you see why the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said he took and put our flag in the White House, and then you hear other ones say, no, he didn't do that. You don't know what he did. He made sure we was covered. because you're ignorant and you don't know every move he made is why you mad. But he did make the move. This is going to prove it right here. He knew what he needed to do to protect us. For suspending our legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. They never had that. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. You're waging war against us. See, this is right here. This is in the Declaration of Independence. And Trump had to come and tell y'all this for y'all to be mad and call him a racist and everything else. Call the people a racist that started it, because he didn't start it. He tried to help you get out of it. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, yes indeed, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty, perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, and become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us. They told you it was 237 plainclothes FBI agents at January 6th. What them Democrats was doing? Them Democrats was excited. He has excited domestic insurrections among us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. I said, you heard me say merciless Indian savages. In every stage of the oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. So see, they've been asking for this. They've been saying, hey, demand it. But what comes with it is repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Did I not just read you magistrate and subject? Told you how you pick a leader, told you how you pick a ruler, but be one over yourself. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislator to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration, that's EMIGRATION, and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, I think I'm saying that right. And we have conjoined them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind. This is up to us, Asiatics of America. This is up to us to hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of this United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right out, to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right to do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Signed by order and in behalf of the Congress. So these are all the people that signed this in 1776. In Connecticut, we had Samuel Huntington, Roger Sherman, William Williams, Oliver Wolcott. In Delaware, we had Thomas McKean, George Reed, Caesar Rodney. In Georgia, we had Button Gwinnett, Gwinnett County, Lyman Hall, Hall County, George Walton, Walton County. In Maryland, we had Charles Carroll of Carrollton. We got a Carrollton, Georgia. Samuel Chase, William Paca, Thomas Stone. Massachusetts, we had John Adams, Samuel Adams, Elbridge Gerry, John Hancock, Robert Treat Payne. In New Hampshire, we had Joshua Bartlett, William Whipple, Matthew Thornton. In New Jersey, we had Abraham Clark, John Hart, Francis Hopkins, Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon. Oh, not the John Witherspoon, really? New York, we had William Floyd, Francis Lewis, Philip Livingston, Lewis Morris. In North Carolina, we had William Hopper, Joseph Hewies. In Pennsylvania, we had George Clymer, Benjamin Franklin, Robert Morris, George Ross, John Morton, Benjamin Rush, James Smith, George Taylor, James Wilson. Rhode Island, we had William Ellery, Stephen Hopkins. In South Carolina, we had Thomas Heward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr. Ooh, Thomas Lynch. There's a comedian named that. Arthur Middleton, Edward Rutledge. In Virginia, we had Carter Braxton, Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Jefferson, Francis Lightfoot Lee, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Nelson Jr., and George White. You have all them people that signed the Declaration of Independence. And if you go look at whatever passes a law, you only need so many signatures from each district to get it done. They had enough. They had enough. We've been fooled. We've been bamboozled. They've been using something that's been so outdated to take control of us. They done used something so outdated to take. They were supposed to be done with in 1776. That's why we were supposed to be celebrating our independence, because they were supposed to be dissolved and done with. Off with your heads. This is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought this. This is why he brought this. It makes sense why he brought the Constitution and bylaws. It makes sense why we have charters at these temples. But they've taken it all. It's showing you even through there how they even usurped the Prophet's movement. The Declaration of Independence can show us just how everybody did the Prophet's movement. No matter what they trying to be out here spewing that they doing in the name of the Prophet, it's not in the name of the Prophet. They took the same Declaration of Independence and they usurped the Prophet's message. They usurped the temples. They usurped everything. And them people look just like us. They look just like us, yet they ain't like us. That's why I know whose side I'm standing on. I don't have to be in a temple to stand on the side of Allah. I don't have to be in the go along to get along gang. I don't have to do that. Because I also know that for myself, each one of us are a priest within ourselves. So if you want to save yourself, that's what he says, save yourself. I brought you everything to save a nation, but save you. Like, save you. Save yourself from all of this tyranny, because they just told you. So ain't no excuse for nobody no more. It's been being said since 1776. You just didn't read. Reading is fun for your mental. So while everybody out here talking about they was doing the prophet's work, they couldn't have been doing the prophet's work. 150 years gone, and we ain't tapped into the Declaration of Independence on their behind to show that they no longer had power. So why was you showing up to vote for somebody that no longer had power? Our people did this to themselves, because you shouldn't even been showing up to vote for nobody when their power was done in 1776. Their power was done. It was over with. Martin had to have a dream. Malcolm had to get knocked off. Huey Newton had to get knocked off. What's my other brother? Fred Hampton. All of that. They were bringing this and showing togetherness, not no separation. Showing it was going to take all of us, because that was the trick they pulled. That's the trick right there. I read it from not only the Moorish Civics guide to show you we should be teaching civics. I went into the Exiles of Florida to show you how they took these people was running from Georgia, went into Florida under Spanish law to be free, and ended up they but right back up here when they decided to join forces with these idiots. And then we come to the Declaration of Independence to show that they should have been gone 1776. Slavery was over in 1865. You tell me these folks were supposed to be gone in 1776. We didn't have to go through all that. We didn't have to go through all that. No civil rights, no none of that. Kanye, where you at? Slavery was a choice. You're so right. Slavery was a freaking choice. Call it what you want, be mad, whatever. 1776, slavery was over in 1865. Slavery started in 1774. Obviously, somebody got wind of it and was like, nah, Great Britain, you can't come do this. You trying to enslave the people that this is their stuff. So sad. That's why I said the rapture was real. The rapture was real. If you ain't been doing your work on yourself, the rapture was real. You got caught up in the rapture. And you're going to keep thinking that something's coming to save you, when all you got to do is save yourself. So we can't feel sorry for nobody when they're going through whatever they're going through. You can't. There's no more excuses. The prophet said, I got rid of all of them. Ooh, and boy, did you get rid of all of them. Even just through that right there. Even through that right there. But nobody in no temples is teaching that. Nobody in the temples is teaching that. They ain't teaching you the Declaration of Independence. They teaching you everything that's keeping you separated from your brother and sister. They're part of the problem. If you read in how I said that, they don't want women to talk. You talk too much, they mad. They kick you out of the temples. They do all of these things because they don't want you to assert your ascension. They don't want you to assert your truth. It makes them uncomfortable because they're the same people that took us over, y'all. They're the same people. But we didn't have to surrender. We might have surrendered, but look, 1776, we shouldn't have been surrendered. We should have been following. We should have been paying attention to politics. Old order, same. Old order, same. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. But we don't have to go through this. That's the part. We don't even have to be going through this. It doesn't even have to be this way. That right there is a fix. That it just takes us to stand up and say, no more. Demand back what belongs to us. Because right there alone is enough for us to whip out on them. and say, due to this that has never changed, it's time for y'all to go. You getting your eviction papers too. And a lot of them people look like us. So stop thinking they don't. European don't mean nobody of no different color, because pale only means gray. And a lot of our people turn gray when they get sick. European today, yesterday, long time ago, we were still over there too. That's why when we say Moors, we talking about the whole entire world, because we did it to the whole world. We civilized everything. But the civilization came from here, came from America, because it didn't come from over there to over here. We were already civilized. Them people weren't civilized. The cousins wasn't civilized. That's how it's us against us. Islam, my brother, it is us against us. It's not them against us for nothing in the world. It is us against us all day, all day. That is exactly right. We don't want to fix our own problem. So good luck to those that have to sit around, I guess, and wait. So I said that's where that rapture came in. That rapture came in where this is what's happening. They are only pawns. They are NPCs. 80% of the people are. They're NPCs. They're not even real. They're playing a character. They think they're real, but that's where mankind comes in. That's what I mean. They're only pawns. Those are mankind. Like I said, mankind, I read mankind in the Koran. I read mankind in the Declaration of Independence. I read mankind in the civics. And you also heard mankind in the Exiles of Florida. So this mankind thing ain't us. It's not us. They not like us. They're not us. Period. They can look like us. They can speak like us. They are not us. They came to kill, steal, and destroy, and they're a part of the problem. They're them Britain cousins that we have, them British cousins, them Spanish cousins. They're our cousins. Don't get it twisted. They just decided to integrate and make something lighter so it wouldn't be them in the front. They could put somebody else's face in the front. They could say face. But we know now, it's you too. It's you. It's us against us. Totally point blank, period. So you can see how you're not related. You know, it is what it is at this point. It really is. It is what it is. And I like it is. I don't know. What else can you say? One large step for one giant step for mankind. What? Right. One giant step for mankind. So, you know, maybe the next 2,000 years, those that got caught up in the rapture, they'll come out of it. But there's no more saving or it's no more of that. You can't wake nobody up. It's no more of that. And you could tell by the way the people are. There's no waking nobody up. That was the rapture. The rapture literally was, you're not waking nobody else up. We can sit up here and scream on these doggone platforms till we're blue in the face. There's no waking no one up. They are asleep. They are in a comatose, and they're not coming out of it. Whatever energy you stuck in, mad, hateful, angry, mad at your mama, your daddy, whoever you mad at, stuck in that energy right now and can't come out. It's the rapture. The door is shut. The circle has closed. As my teacher taught me on that circle 7, when them lines close, it's over with. It's closed. It's closed. It's no longer open. And no key to open it because the angels took the key. The angels took the key and it's no more. So that's it. We done. I love y'all, and I hope I see you guys really soon. Peace and love. I trust maybe I'll come tomorrow. I got some things going on with my mom. So, Facts 101, Islam, D-Bay, Islam, private property, Islam. Yes, it's only us, y'all, just us. It's just us. It's those faithful ones, the faithful ones. That's all that's left. It's just us, y'all. Nobody else. So Islam, peace and love. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Islam. Oh, 144,000. Yeah, that's us. That's us, y'all. We here. We're going to notice each other. We're going to see each other. We're integrating with one another. We're building with each other. We're only attracting what we're ready for. That's it. We're only attracting what we're ready for. So I look forward to building with you guys and just continue this love energy that we got to continue to push in the world, because it starts with love and it ends with just us. Peace and love. It ends with us, y'all. That's all it ends with. It ends with us. Shalom, shalom.